We're skipping the warm-ups today and heading straight onto the pitch at Dallas Stadium. The atmosphere, absolutely electric. We're talking about the knockout stages of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and this clash is already shaping up to be one for the history books. Let's get right into it.
So what happens when an unstoppable historic run meets an ambitious squad desperate to end a curse? This isn't just a game, you guys. The emotional stakes here are massive right from the jump. On one side, you have an entire continent holding its breath in anticipation. On the other, a European powerhouse determined to rewrite their own painful history.
Okay, let's dive into this. On one side, we've got Ivory Coast. The Elephants have stepped into the World Cup knockout rounds for the very first time. They're carrying the dreams and expectations of literally millions. And on the other side, Norway. Led by their prolific talisman Erling Haaland, they are hungry, desperate even, to break a historic knockout curse that has haunted them for years. The monumental pressure on both of these nations as they step out onto that grass is almost unimaginable.
Right from the opening whistle, the tempo is set and it is fast. The Elephants, decked out in their classic bright orange kits, immediately take absolute control. They aren't just holding possession, they're completely dominating it. They spread the ball beautifully out to the wing, stretch the pitch, and honestly, they're making the Norwegians chase shadows out there. It is a picture of pure African football dominance right out of the gate.
And at the heart of this relentless pressure is Nicolas Pepe. He is looking incredibly dangerous early on. Every single time he gets on the ball, he's driving forward on these blistering counterattacks. He's firing venomous, dangerous low crosses right into the box. You can practically feel the sheer panic as he forces the entire Norwegian backline to just desperately scramble and clear their lines, keeping them pinned deep in their own half.
Now, this brilliantly illustrates how much Norway is struggling to find any sort of rhythm. They're relying heavily on a deep, packed defensive block just to survive the onslaught. Their fans in the stadium are doing everything they can, even attempting to rally the squad with that thunderous, iconic Viking row chant. But then, the stadium falls dead silent. Ivorian forward Diomandé nearly opens the scoring. Norway barely survives thanks to a frantic last-second sliced clearance from Pedersen that luckily loops right over his own crossbar. So despite the echoing chants, Ivory Coast is completely dictating the narrative here.
39. That is the minute where everything changes. If there's one thing we know about knockout tournament football, it's that absolute dominance can vanish in the blink of an eye. You can be in total control for 38 minutes, and then, completely against the run of play, reality bites.
Here's exactly how it unfolds. Antonio Nusa receives the ball out wide on the left wing. He doesn't even hesitate. He just drives aggressively right inside the penalty box. He brilliantly opens up his body to create a sliver of an angle and unleashes an absolutely sensational, curling effort. It's lightning fast, it's ruthless, and it completely stuns the Ivorian defense.
The ball bypasses the outstretched arms of Yahya Fofana and hits the top right corner, a pure moment of individual brilliance. Just let the majesty of that strike sink in for a second, right? With that one swing of his boot, Nusa completely flips the script of the match. That unbelievable moment gives Norway a stunning 1-0 lead heading into the halftime break, leaving the Elephants wondering how on earth they're trailing.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer resilience of this Ivory Coast team. Coming out for the second half, they refuse to just give up on their historic run without a fight. They begin with incredibly aggressive intent. They're absolutely determined to find a way back into this tie, constantly searching for openings. We see Frank Kessie stepping up, relentlessly testing Norway's goalkeeper, Erling Haaland, with powerful close-range efforts. The pressure is mounting all over again.
74. After knocking on the door for nearly 30 minutes of the second half, the 74th minute arrives, and it brings with it a piece of individual magic that perfectly mirrors Nusa's first-half stunner.
Check out how this play breaks down. Nicolas Pepe, who's been a menace all game, spots a brilliant run and completely unlocks the play with a perfectly timed pass. It finds substitute Amad Diallo. Diallo gets on the ball and just showcases breathtaking, mesmerizing footwork. He literally dances past 1, 2, 3 Norwegian defenders inside the penalty area before slamming a fierce, unstoppable shot home. The stadium absolutely erupts. The noise is deafening as Ivory Coast levels the score at 1-1.
The momentum has entirely shifted. The fans are on their feet. The score is tied. Would this knockout thriller actually go to extra time? The game seems completely destined for another 30 minutes of grueling, nerve-wracking football. But fate, as it so often does in these massive tournaments, had a completely different plan waiting in the shadows.
So the crucial point is, what happens in the 86th minute? Norway suddenly manages to capitalize on a very late attacking spell, pushing bodies forward when legs are getting heavy. And who is waiting? The ultimate big game player. Up until this exact second, Erling Haaland had actually had a surprisingly quiet evening, especially by his own astronomical standards. But you know, all he needs is a single moment.
And with that one moment, Erling Haaland breaks Ivorian hearts. The ball somehow finds its way to the clinical striker inside the box, and he makes absolutely no mistake. It's cold, it's calculated, and it is devastating. He steers a perfect finish right past Fofana to snatch the lead back for the Europeans, which is 4 minutes of regular time left on the clock. A lethal, decisive blow.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Looking back across the timeline of the match, you can truly appreciate the chaotic, emotional roller coaster we just witnessed. You've got the sheer shock of Nusa's stunner against the run of play in the 39th minute, the absolute euphoria of Diallo's dancing equalizer in the 74th, and then the crushing finality of Haaland's winner in the 86th. It is the perfect visual summary of a breathless football match.
Of course, Ivory Coast doesn't go quietly. They make a desperate late push, throwing on multiple substitutions in stoppage time, pushing absolutely everyone forward in a last-ditch effort. But Norway holds firm. The defense digs in, and they secure a thrilling 2-1 victory. The final whistle blows. The Elephants are forced to bow out of the tournament, but they do so with their heads held extremely high after a truly historic and valiant run. Meanwhile, Haaland and Norway are left to celebrate a monumental win, officially booking their ticket to the round of 16 and finally breaking that dreaded curse.
It all leaves us with this stark final thought. Dominance doesn't always equal victory. That is the beautiful, brutal finality of knockout football. You can control the tempo, wear down the defense, and play beautiful football. But it literally just takes a moment of individual brilliance, or one deadly strike from a quiet assassin to send you packing. What an unbelievable match, and what a setup for the rest of this 2026 World Cup. And I can't wait to see what happens next on the pitch.